So this is a lecture on social networking, which for the purposes of this class, I have defined as Facebook and LinkedIn. This is going to be a pretty short lecture, mostly because you have a lot of other stuff to look at. Please look at all the supplemental material that's linked inside the module, and you have to do the tutorial on LinkedIn, which comes through Linda, in no small part because I want you to see Linda and see all the really cool marketing classes that they have that you can, of course, listen to in your copious free time, but also because it does a really good job with LinkedIn, and I figured that, you should listen to someone else's voice for a change. So when I'm talking about social networks, I'm talking about Facebook and LinkedIn primarily, although there are many others. Facebook is the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room. It has 1 billion users worldwide, which is enormous. It's the biggest, it's the most profitable social media platform. There's a reason why, when Russia decided that they wanted to meddle in US politics, they chose Facebook, because they knew that Facebook had the reach, the number of people, but more importantly, reached every sort of demographic that they were going to be interested in talking to, and they had very specific demographics in mind. LinkedIn isn't nearly as large, 50 million users. It's tiny in comparison. However, it is the largest business site. It's used as mostly B2B, business to business strategic communication, whereas Facebook, in the context of strategic communication for brands, is mostly B2C, business to customer. It's also important to remember, just sort of by the way, that Facebook owns everything. Facebook owns Instagram. Facebook tried to buy Snapchat, and when it couldn't buy Snapchat, it made its very own version of Snapchat. So yeah, Facebook wants to run the world. So why would you use these platforms? The obvious answer is reach, right? That 1 billion people that are sitting out there just waiting for your message. But the fact is, those 1 billion people all don't want to read your message. And the other part of reach that is so terribly important is the way that Facebook allows you to reach people who are interested in what you have to say, who are going to listen to what you have to say, who are going to then convert, whether conversion is going to your web page and buying something, or giving you money, or telling their friends and neighbors something that is important. Again, I'm going to use the politics example, right? What the Russian trolls, as they call them, were trying to do was to reach very specific groups of people and then get them to talk among their friends that were just like them, to start a sort of disinformation so that people would believe something that wasn't true. And it would pick these very specific groups that were inclined to believe this anyway, and they knew they would reach them exactly through word of mouth, through Facebook. So with reach also comes exposure, right? More people, more eyeballs can see it. And again, we get back to the word of mouth, the trusted sources. People trust their peers. They don't trust brands. So what you want is to, as a brand, is to reach these people through their peers. How do you get that? You reach them by having the peers share the information that you want to have shared. Again, this is just so crucial and is really the heart of social media and strategic communication in general, and social networking in particular. So here we have a look at the Facebook usage among key demographics. This comes from Sprout Social, and it is from 2015. Sprout Social took it from the Pew Internet information, which, by the way, really pewinternet.org is an awesome place to get information that does not come from a commercial service and therefore doesn't have any agenda. But what I want you to notice is that Facebook is everyone, right? And it's not what people think or thought it was. Facebook reaches almost as many men as it does women. right? It's a little bit skewed toward women, but really very close, 66 to 77%, and that's of internet users in the United States. If you look at the age, yes, the younger you are, the more likely you are as an internet user to have a Facebook page. But the thing I find interesting is that more than half of people over the age of 65 have a Facebook page. And that number is only going to go up as, the people who are in the 50 to 64 bracket age into the 65 plus bracket. And that's pretty incredible. There is no other social media platform that has that breadth of age. The same thing with location. There are urban, suburban, and rural users of Facebook. There are users of Facebook across every income level, if you look there under income. There are slight differences, but not so many as to say that, oh, only poor people use Facebook or only rich people use Facebook. Everybody uses Facebook. The same thing with education. College graduates use it. People who didn't make it out of high school use it. Facebook has the broadest demographic of any social media, which makes it valuable, not because you're going to speak to all of those people, and I cannot stress this enough, you can't speak to everybody, but because the people that you can speak to, the ones you're interested, are almost guaranteed to be in there somewhere. Another thing that you may not be familiar with is that Facebook has a number of account options. We're all familiar with the profile. That's what we have. It's an individual user page. Many of us may be familiar or have a company page, which is just called a page by Facebook, which is a brand or a company or organization's official home on Facebook. There are also groups, which is a gathering of users who share an interest in a topic. And anyone can make a group of people. This is opposed to a community page, which is a Facebook-created collection of mentions around a brand or a topic. Facebook puts together a community page. And last, we have a Places page, which is a page to collect mentions about a company, organization, or group that has a physical location that is relevant to people who are looking for it in that physical location. An interesting thing is that a Places page can be claimed by a company and can actually become their official home page on Facebook, their page on Facebook, if they wish it to. But even if they don't claim it, Facebook still keeps it there as a Places page. So, the algorithm. I don't know if you know, but Facebook uses an algorithm. It can't, or it won't, show everybody everything that all of the people they follow post. It decided it was just too much and it would overwhelm people. Sort of like Twitter was overwhelming people for a while. So they have an algorithm that determines what they show everybody. And the algorithm affects what we call organic reach. Organic reach is how many people see something you post without you paying for it. Organic reach has dropped dramatically in the last, well, now it's probably almost 7 years on Facebook as they began to introduce and tighten their algorithm. What they're trying to do, frankly, is that they figure you want to see the stuff from your actual friends. And so they're trying to make sure that that is more likely to show up on your feed than branded information is, unless, of course, that brand pays for it. Because they don't want to flood their users with stuff they don't want to see. To this end, right, everything has a limited lifespan, or most of the time things have a limited lifespan on Facebook, and the older it gets, the less likely people are to see it. Different media types carry different weight. Video is most likely to be seen. Large images are also very likely to be seen. Text posts are the least likely to be seen. It can store and look at the history of interaction. Do you often like, and I say brands, but actually this is true of anybody. If there's someone's posts who you like, comment, or share a lot, you'll see that they show up in your feed more and more often because Facebook has decided you have an affinity with this person or with this brand, and therefore it's going to show you more of what they do. When something like affinity happens, the story is bumped, right? The time decay, it becomes less time sensitive. The content doesn't time out. And stories with ongoing engagement tend to stay very high on a news feed. So as a brand, what you want is ongoing engagement. You want people to like, share, or comment. However, and this is really important, you can't use words in your post like, share, or comment, or Facebook will penalize you. Why? Because they don't want you to prompt people to like, share, or comment. They want it to be something that the person does because they really want to. So the trick is to ask without asking, to make sure that you are engaging users without asking them directly for engagement. And if you get that engagement, if you get the like, share, or comment, you're going to find that your material reaches those people more often. Which isn't to say that that many people will see it at all. Organic reach is really low for brands on Facebook. Individuals have a slightly higher organic reach. Educational institutions and nonprofits seem to have a slightly better than purely corporate or I guess for-profit institutions, although I don't think that's ever been confirmed by Facebook, but just by talking to people who work with FIU's Facebook page, it seems like that is quite possibly true. And the least seen are going to be brand pages, brand posts that are not paid for, particularly brands that have a lot of followers. The more followers you have on Facebook, the lower the percentage of users who will see your posts. And I'm talking really low, like less than 10%. Some people think actually it's more like 2% if you are a big brand. So you need to sort of figure out what the best way to do to get your stuff as high as it can get to give it the most organic reach you can get. So first is sales offers. Don't put sales offers in. In fact, a purely promotional post won't be shown to anyone at all. Facebook will require you to pay for that as advertising. If you're going to talking about your 10% off sale, it has to be an ad. The timing can help. You can look and see when it is, if you go to your insights page, when it is that more of your posts were seen by people and more people were sharing your post. And that's when you should post, because Facebook's going to encourage you to post at a time that people who want to see your information are on and sharing. If someone shares your content across channels like to Twitter or to Instagram, particularly Instagram because they own it, that also means that in your feed, the information in your feed, the post in your feed will stay current longer and will be seen by more people. And again, interaction. The more people that like, encourage, or share, right, your piece, the better it's going to do. The more people will see it, the higher it will stay in your feed. Lastly, although I know it's not lastly on the list, is ads. And we're going to talk about ads in the next slide. But remember, Facebook is a for-profit organization. And in fact, their limiting of reach has caused them to be much more profitable because now brands need to pay to be seen. So that paying to be seen is, of course, Facebook's answer to the really crappy organic reach for brands with large followings. You can put ads in. I don't know. We all remember, I guess, the sidebar ads. They still are there. You get an ad on the sidebar. I'm not sure how effective they are, but Facebook will give you all the metrics and analytics to let you see how effective they are. You can also put an ad in the news feed, which is more effective. It appears in the middle, right, with everything else in your news feed. It's highly targeted, and you're guaranteed how many places it will appear. Just like placing an ad in the news feed, you have promoted posts. Promoted posts are regular posts. They're not promotional material. They're not ads, right? They're regular posts, regular videos, regular pictures, regular text that are of a informational nature, not a sales nature, right? That you choose to promote, that you choose to pay Facebook to guarantee you a number of eyeballs. Actually, it's not eyeballs, it's feeds, that you get into a number of feeds. And again, you can target these, your audience for these posts very, very specifically. So targeting really specifically, this is what makes Facebook so terribly powerful. You can select, there's a ton of demographic choices that you can select. You can select location, age, gender, interest targeting, current connections like people like this or friends of friends, sexual orientation, relationship status, education levels, schools and majors and workplaces, right? And there's probably more at this point. If you follow the news, and I hope you all do, you should be seeing examples of Russia or the Russian trolls using Facebook and using this demographic targeting very, very specifically to reach discrete, different, very select target audiences. So they might have a very conservative Hillary Clinton is coming to get your guns ad or post, right, that they would then target to 55-year-old women in Wisconsin who had an interest in dogs, guns, and pickup trucks, and their friends or people who were like them, who were straight, married, had a high school education level, and who were either homemakers or who worked in non-professional jobs. And that would be, you know, very, very narrow demographic that they had realized were the people who were most likely to respond to that information. You know, remember, somebody targeted the demographic who thought that it was likely that Hillary Clinton was running a child sex ring out of a pizza parlor in Washington. And there's probably not that many people who would believe that, but on Facebook, you could find them based on what we call proxies, other things that were likely to go along with that. Also, you could target, you know, inner city black men who are 20, who were interested in, you know, you can pick a sort of anarchist rap group. And then you would target them with sort of the opposite partisan message that Donald Trump was a flaming racist, which truthfully I kind of believe. But anyhow, you can speak to two very different target audiences. And not only can you disguise who you are by using two different company names, but you can make sure those two groups of people never see each other's ads. In fact, you can make sure that the people, what I would call somewhat the less partisan people in the middle, never see these ads. Because those people would say, this is crazy, right? You don't want to reach those people. So now we want to use the same demographic targeting, I'm going to say for good, not for evil, but at the very least for commerce, for marketing, for strategic communication, to boost our brand presence on the internet, to engage those people in conversations and to get them to share with their friends the information that we think we have that is of interest to them, so that we stay what is known as top of mind, right? So that they think of our brand first. But again, it's interesting to look at how Facebook was used, targeting these very small groups of people to create some real disinformation in the 2016 political campaign. So promoted posts work a lot like ads. They run in your news feed. They look like posts. I think they do have a little disclaimer that says promoted on it if it's being sent to someone who doesn't follow the brand. But again, Facebook guarantees the number of feeds it's going to show up on. right? They can be pretty big. They can be like a third of the page. So they take up a substantial bit of real estate on people's page. And you are somewhat limited. You're limited to people who like your brand's page and to their friends. But that's a good start. And among those likes and friends of likes, you get a guaranteed number of feeds that it's going to show up in.